All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, doing what I do, just talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. All right, so the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a very prestigious organization. They have a very unique way of selecting candidates and then actually even more unique way of putting these nominees into the Hall of Fame. A couple of years ago, Bruce Dickinson from the amazing band Iron Maiden, who are still not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, been eligible for a very long time. I think they got nominated in 2018. They didn't make it. They got nominated again in 2021 or for 2021. They did not make it. And Bruce Dickinson had some colorful and very honest words for the folks who run the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He said, quote, "It's run by a bunch of sanctimonious, bloody Americans." You have to start with the English accent when you hit bloody Americans who wouldn't know rock and roll if it hit them in the face. They need to stop taking Prozac and start drinking bleeping beer. Bruce Dickinson from the much maligned and much underappreciated Iron Maiden. Of course, the Hall of Fame answering critics all the time, saying, hey, you know, this accusation, like from Dee Snider and, I don't know, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, they say, well, that accusation that they don't respect heavy metal artists, he says it's an interesting one because we do respect metal music. Here we go. We celebrate all forms of rock and roll. That is a very bad statement to make right there because I'm going to skewer these guys. They were nominated, talking about Iron Maiden. Judas Priest, they were nominated. They didn't get in, but we put Def Leppard in. Oh, okay. All right. Thanks for Def Leppard. So Def Leppard gets in before Iron Maiden. Def Leppard gets in before Judas Priest, even though I think both bands, I don't know about Iron Maiden going before Def Leppard, but Judas Priest, they crawled out of the 1970s. So Judas Priest should have been in first. They don't do chronological order, okay? So they just don't do it. So they're saying we celebrate all forms of rock and roll. Hence, that's why they put in Jay-Z, right? So when you look where rock and roll is, and they're using the term rock and roll, and they're kind of redefining it, right? They're saying that rock and roll, the spirit of the music, really is what qualifies it to be rock and roll. No. I think the genre itself is pretty well defined, all right? And I'm not going to go to Webster's and give you the Webster definition, but you kind of can't have it both ways, because if you're going to induct Jay-Z, and I would say Jay-Z is a rap artist. I don't know how you get around that. And I am not claiming here that Jay-Z isn't talented and doesn't deserve some recognition from some institution. I'm just not sure the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is that institution. Now, by their own standard, I would put the band Weather Report in. Anybody know who Weather Report is? I know I'm going from Iron Maiden to Weather Report. But I know you got like Wayne Shorter and John Schofield and Steve Kahn and all these amazing players, Omar Hakim. This was a band, a fusion band that incorporated a lot of different elements into their music. But, you know, people would say, well, they're a jazz band. They're just a jazz band with a few rock tendencies. You know, Jaco Pastorius, not a big deal. The musicians in that group, Wayne Shorter, forgot about Wayne Shorter. They've had quite a few musicians over the years. The guy who's in Journey right now, Narada Michael Walden, he played drums in Weather Report. So good job, Journey, getting Narada Michael Walden. The point is, and you know, I'm going a little slowly here. The point is Jay-Z closer to rock and roll than Weather Report is? No way. In fact, you know, go listen to some Weather Report and you're going to hear some amazing guitar work, some drums that are outstanding. Obviously, they've got a number of great drummers that they've had in the group. The quality of the players in Weather Report elevate them above just being this sort of avant-garde jazz rock fusion band. See, the other end of the spectrum is that Iron Maiden is a heavy metal band, a hard rock, heavy metal, somewhat progressive band. Prog rock, if you want to even see, I would just categorize them as their own thing. They're really a lot of different things, Iron Maiden. Maybe they just don't like the album covers. I'm just trying to think, but if you're going to, again, you're going to put Jay-Z in, right? And you're going to say Jay-Z is over here and it's the spirit of the music that gets it in. And I'm saying not necessarily, because there are a lot of other genres where the spirit of the music is quite strong and quite good. And that spirit should transcend the definition, the textbook definition of what rock and roll is. That doesn't make sense to me. I think Bruce Dickinson is spot on. I think he understands that this comes down to politics. This comes down to who you know. If you're in with Paul Schaefer, and I don't know why Paul Schaefer has so much pull. I mean, it's just weird. If Paul Schaefer has all this pull, then Warren Zevon should be in, right? Southside Johnny should be in. And I'm not saying those two guys should be in. I think Warren Zevon should be in, and maybe Southside. I don't know. I think Southside Johnny would be a much better choice than Jay-Z, because I think Southside Johnny is rock. I think that's just self-evident. It's intrinsic. It's hard to argue with. So in any event, Bruce Dickinson, I was going to say Bruce Springsteen, wrong Bruce, but Bruce Dickinson has a point, and I think these guys have some kind of hard rock, heavy metal bias, but yet they're willing to put someone in who's much further away from the definition of rock and roll. Based on what? Politics? I'm really not sure. I have no idea. I mean, I want to think it's not politics, but it seems political, and rock stars, most of them are afraid to say it. They just say, well, it's highway robbery, that's so-and-so, because they don't want to upset that apple cart. They don't want to get on that bandwagon, because then they're going to be accused of all these things that they're not, just like anyone else who makes a comment on it. Just common sense stuff. Oh, no, you can't speak that way. Well, I just did. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join me on Patreon for $1 a month, maybe $2 if you want to really chip in. And thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.